Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to the first ever tutorial here on my music channel. Today I will be showing you how to scream. Now I know several different types of screaming. All of these were learnt over several years. Now I'm here to tell you straight off the bat, so straight away, you are not going to learn how to scream straight away. It's not going to happen. You're not going to open your mouth and out comes this fucking demon. It's not going to happen. So as soon as you're okay with that, if anything, that should make things better. Because if I told you that you should immediately get it, and you can't, then of course you'd be depressed about it. Now, it took me years to perfect several different styles, which I now use in Munro. In fact, in my album that's coming out in June, you will actually be able to hear every single type of scream that I'm about to show you. So first of all, in the best possible way that I can, I am going to try and explain to you how the mechanics of the scream works, so that you can sort of, do it. It's not like, showing the fingering on a guitar. Or it's not like, showing someone how to play drums or any other instrument, for that matter. You can't show someone how to do it. You can only explain it. So let's get straight fucking to it. So I'm going to show you my main scream. Now this is the one that I use for the main screaming sections of Munro. Now of course the explanations to these are going to be really stupid. So I'm going to have to make stupid noises to explain how this works. Now this is very diaphragm heavy. Of course every scream should be coming from your diaphragm or lower. Yes, lower. This is the heaviest amount of diaphragm usage ever. What I want you to do, how would I explain this? I would say I learnt this scream by sort of retching. You know when you vomit, or when you make a vomit noise, you sort of go, "Hurrah!" like that, right? I want you to make a vomit noise. If you're sitting on the bus, or for God's sake, if you're at work, don't. But if you're at home and the parents are out, or if you don't give a fuck what your parents think, like me, then I want you to just make a retching noise, like, "Ugh!" like you're throwing up, like, "Ugh! Ugh!" Now that's the basis of the scream. So of course I don't want you to just fucking throw up on stage, which I've seen happen before, by the way. It wasn't great. Many people died. So yes, that's going to be the basis for your scream. Now the good thing about the scream is you can actually pitch it. There's a note to it, which is one of my favorite things, which means it fits perfectly with the note of the song. And because I play really, really low, in fact the key that I play in is around A sharp, I think. No, A flat, sorry, G sharp. And most of my songs are in G sharp minor, which is irrelevant when it comes to the note that you're singing. Just sing G sharp. I'm gonna do a little tidbit for you now from one of my songs, and you guys are going to sort of just listen and see how that sounds in a song. Now there's gonna be no effects on it. I'm literally just gonna scream into the mic and it's gonna go DI straight on top of the song. So there's gonna be no effect on it. I might compress it. I don't know. In fact, no, there's already a compressor on this, so let's see how it sounds.
Whoever says where we lie, my old lords are always so strong. Life was easily engaged. Now we say you and me are equally lost.
So that was a snippet from one of the upcoming songs for the new Munro album that's coming out this June. Fingers crossed. Now, as you could hear, there is a definable note in the scream, which again is something that I love. I love that the fact that it gives it more power rather than just a raspy sort of white noise. Now I use a certain type of technique called false chord. Now that means I'm actually using the muscles that hold my true chords, which are the ones we speak with, rather than actually using the true chords. Now if you want a better explanation of this, there actually is a 2-part DVD series called The Zen of Screaming, and that is personally how I learned to scream. It's taught by a very talented woman called Melissa Cross. Now, Melissa Cross has worked with vocalists that you may have heard of, such as Phil Labonte from All That Remains, and also Angela Gosso from Arch Fucking Enemy. Yeah, So if you want any more information that's a lot more in depth than you're going to get here, then by all means go buy those DVDs and watch them religiously as I did. So hopefully from that you managed to figure out how it is that I'm doing that scream. Now remember, the starting noise is the retching, which is the now that's the starting noise. Now of course you can capitalize on that, which you can ring it out, which is you hear that? There's a note in there, so you go. Now I was actually changing to a different technique at the end. I always do that, force of habit. And that is my main scream. Okay, so this is the second type of screaming that I use. They're in no particular order, though these two that I'm about to show you do go secondary to the main one that I've already shown you. Now, I'm going to show you the black metal one that I use. I don't use this too much because it does get a little bit harsh on the vocal cords the longer that you use it, though in saying that, I have found that it actually gets better the longer you use it for. It's one of the screams that I do that as soon as I stop using it, it immediately goes bad, and I can't do it anymore. Now, I use this type of scream mainly for my highs, sort of like All That Remains sort of style, Phil LeBont. For example, the intro to This Calling. Everybody knows that really long, sort of raspy, sort of high scream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a longer one that I did. It's about 14-15 seconds long. It's no Chester Bennington by any means, though I can go longer than he can, but I'm not going to do that here. So yeah, now this is very hard to explain. The way I've tried to explain this one is that it's sort of a really hard, sort of, like it's a really forced whisper, but it's not. Whispering is actually the worst thing you could ever do for your voice, and I'll explain more on that later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a very weak version of it and build up, and hopefully you can sort of hear how you make the noise. At least this is how I would like to learn. So this is how it goes. See how it starts with a whisper? Now how you get from the whisper, again, it's not like showing you your fingering on a guitar neck. I can't really show you where it is. I can only explain and also give a demonstration of how you would get there. So getting there is up to you. Now if it starts to hurt, please stop. Because like I said, this one can get very heavy on the vocal cords if you're not used to doing it. Remember, any type of scream that you're doing, diaphragm. Use the diaphragm. It's almost as if you're tensing your stomach. So if you just want to think of tensing your stomach, then you'll be using your diaphragm. So just focus on, because that's what I do. Because who the fuck can like actively use their diaphragm? All I do is I just tense my stomach, and I know that I'm not going to get a massive pressure headache from doing a scream. Which if you're just using your voice, and if you're just, if you're not using this whole chamber that you have at your disposal, then you're going to get a headache from a lack of oxygen, and it's very painful. Now I'm going to show you one of my longest screams from one of my new songs. Again, it's a snippet from a brand new song that's coming out on the new Munro album. Now this is a very, very long scream, and I'll tell you how to do this very long scream after I demonstrate it to you. So let's go ahead and play that, shall we? And that is how you do that scream. Now, as you can see, that goes for very, very long. I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to do that live, but I'll damn sure give it a fucking try. In the DVDs that I mentioned to you called The Zen of Screaming, which I do recommend all of you pick up if you're looking to scream full-time, whatever that means, it'll show you a breathing technique called rotunda. Now, rotunda refers to the floating ribs that are below the rest of the ribs that are connected to the sternum. I believe they're called rotunda. I have no idea. I just know that's what she calls it. Now, it's sort of a visualization thing, and the way that, and it's the way I'm about to explain it to you, is not explained on the DVD this way. So what I want you to do is I want you to put your hand on your chest, not on your diaphragm, on your chest now. And I want you to breathe in without your chest moving up. So if you just go ahead and do that, just watch me. See the way sort of my shoulders go forward, and sort of you'll notice that your laterals will come out sort of like that. So your rib cage, it almost feels as though your body is going that way rather than out that way. So usually when you're breathing like that, but it creates a lot of pressure, and you don't really want that sort of pressure on your throat. So if you breathe in, you'll feel the air go below your chest and sort of just sit around your diaphragm. Now, there is where you want your breath to always be. That's where it should always be. It should never be up here like... You never puff out your chest, because you're going to pass the fuck out, son. See, I've seen it happen. A lot of people think they're going to do big long scream. And they do this long scream, and they create so much pressure that they just end up passing the fuck out. And you don't want that to happen. It's very embarrassing. It's never happened to me. Ever. Maybe once. So you want your breathing to be down to your sides. Well, like I said, what I call rotunda. Now, again, these DVDs go into much more depth as to how you would actually do that. So the technique, the sort of little practice that I showed you there with the hand on the chest, it's not on the DVD, but I found that actually helped me a lot. So if you hold your hand to your chest, breathe in nice and deep, you'll find all the air goes to your stomach and to the sides of your... to your ribs as well, where your air should be. It's not putting pressure on your throat, and you're not going to pass out. So let's move on to the next scream. Now, this final scream, I use this mainly for ambient screams. It's very good for sort of surrounding the main couple of screams that you're using. Mainly sort of the "whoa" that one, and the "wow" that one. So if you put those in a center channel, and then do two tracks of the scream that I'm about to show you, and pan them left and right, fuck loads of fucking delay and reverb on them, you'll get that great Born of Osiris sound. Everybody wants that Born of Osiris sound. Everyone knows the song Machine. If you haven't listened to the song Machine, this is the scream that I'm about to show you. It sort of wraps around the whole thing if it's mixed well. Now, this scream doesn't sound great on its own, I'm going to tell you. And this is another thing I'm going to go through in a different video showing you how to mix. So in this scream, I use this for a lot of lows and mids. It's very difficult to get high. I've never been able to use this for a high without hurting myself. It gets very raw. So here it is. Now, the best explanation I've ever heard, and I can't remember the name of the guy or his YouTube channel, which is a shame. But his explanation was, and you'll hear people say, oh, it's like barking like a dog or whatever. If that works for you, then bark like a fucking dog. But this guy said, it's like clearing your throat, like really clearing your throat, like, you hear that? Sort of, Now that is the bass. Now I can't really tell you how to capitalize on that, but I can show you how the bass noise is made. Now of course you can pitch this. Well, pitch it, there's no key. I've heard people use this scream with a key. I don't know how they're doing it, but it sounds great. I think it's the same sort of scream that Motionless and White use, though I've not really heard longer than 30 seconds of any of their music. So the scream sort of goes like this. That's a low. If you want to go lower, it's all tongue. Not really much lower. I was already doing the tongue thing anyway. Now, you kind of want your tongue to do that. It sort of creates like a wall, sort of. Now, if you do that, it creates like a little chamber. So it's like touching the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth, just behind your front teeth, like that. Now, if you do that, it creates this little chamber. Now, in this chamber, it sort of lowers the frequency before it eventually leaves your mouth. So let me show you an example here. Hear that? The way it got lower, second I used the tongue. I didn't change the pitch of the scream at all. That's the same pressure and frequency the whole time, I'm simply flicking up my tongue. You hear that? That's how you lower your scream. It's all on the tongue. Phil LeBont actually came up with that technique. He's the one who, again, on the DVD. Now, I will say one thing about this scream. It's very, very heavy on your oxygen supply. As with the other screams, it creates an adequate amount of pressure where you're not gasping for air very often. I can scream for very long in both of those types, but for this one, I'm always running out of air. It doesn't sound like I am, but because of my rotunda technique, I'm able to keep enough oxygen to do the screams that I need. So I'm going to show you another snippet here from one of the songs off the brand new Munro album. That's right, you get to hear 3 snippets of 3 different songs. So now this one's very, very epic, so I'm not going to show you too much of this one. But this one, I think this is the only song so far that uses this type of scream as a primary, though not for very long. So let's give that a go. So there you have it, kids. That was another snippet there from one of the new songs. It's going to be on the new Munro album. That one's going to be called Interstellar Retribution. Hopefully hitting the stores in June. So thanks everybody for stopping by, and hopefully you've learned how to scream or even just learned how to use some of the techniques from this video. Hopefully by now you're already sounding like a regular Spencer Sotelo from Periphery. Don't forget to practice, and remember, if you don't sound great straight away, don't worry about it. It takes ages. Again, it took me years to figure out how to scream the way that I do, especially to a point where I could do it consistently. And if it does start hurting, stop. Drink plenty of water. Whispering is not great. If your throat is fucked from the night before, and you think you're going to be able to talk to people just by whispering, you think you whisper, you save your voice for the next night, don't do it. Whispering is worse. If you're gonna talk, then fucking talk. Loud and clear. Don't whisper. Worst thing ever. Also, another popular myth is that people should drink milk or apple juice, I've heard as well. Now, I don't drink anything prior to a gig except for water. In fact, I give my throat a good old clear before I do anything, because I need a clear throat if I'm going to be doing any types of screaming. Don't use phlegm for your screaming, because that's fake screaming. You're not always going to have phlegm in your throat. So learn how to do it properly. In another video, I'll show you how to mix all of these screams correctly into the mix so that they all sound natural and as they should. So again, thanks to everyone for coming and watching this video. I'll see you on the next video, and hopefully we'll be doing a tutorial on something that you would like to see. It might be something on guitar. It might be something, how to mix on the computer. It might be how to restring a guitar, or what gauge of strings that I use. It could be anything. In fact, leave me a comment. Tell me what you'd like to see in my studio, music related. So until next time, fellas, peace out!